Hi everyone, welcome back into Primetime TV. I'm one of your hosts, Barbara Marville-Kelly, and with me is the one and only Dennis Kelly.
How about that for an introduction? Wow.
Well, we're keeping each other awake today, definitely. It is cold outside, and we love it, don't we?
Absolutely.
You know, I did post on Facebook that we were going to give you some tips today on the holidays and stress on the holidays, and really some good healthy tips on, oh, just in case you didn't notice, my new shirt. Well, let me get this out of the way so you can really see. Okay? It's all about love. All around the world as we wind out of 2018 and into 2019. You're going to hear us talk about love more and more and more. But getting back to some of the tips that we're going to share with you, we were deciding, what did we want to do, like a year in review? No, we decided not to do that because we do have some shows where we go back and we continually talk of some of the different things that we help you with, and stress and ageless living, and that's really going to be ramped up even more in 2019. But coming down to a pretty serious level when it comes to the holidays, you've always talked about how to help prevent a heart attack. So rather than make you wait for some of these tips, I really want to turn this over to my husband because he is the expert in this, as healthy and as fit as a fiddle. But there's things that we can do to actually help ourselves prevent a heart attack. Because what do we do around the holidays? We eat, right?
And we overeat.
Overeat?
In most cases.
Exactly. Like what? Like steak, hamburgers, turkey, gravy.
Pies, cakes, all those goodies.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Hard to resist.
So, what happens when we eat those fatty foods? What happens to our body, and why is it that there's such a high percentage of heart attacks that happen around the holidays?
There are more heart attacks during the holidays than any other time, especially in December, January, because there's so many ups and downs and stress. The family's coming over, you got to get this right, you got to get that right. There's disappointments. And there's joy and love and everything, but it's that up and down. It's the greatness of the mountain and the doom of the valley, so to speak.
Especially if the families talk politics.
Oh, yeah,
and everybody's not on the same page. My advice, don't even go there, right?
That's absolutely correct, because there's, like I mentioned, there's more heart attacks during this period of time than any other time because of the ups and downs, because of the stress of this and that. And so we need to really safeguard ourselves from that. We eat too much during the holidays, and me including. But if you know what to do, the chance of having a heart attack are a lot less.
Okay, so like what? So let's say we've just sat down and the kids, I don't think we're doing a turkey this Christmas. I think they want to do a rib roast. And you know, we don't eat a lot of beef, okay? There will be a substantial amount of fat, maybe gravy and things like that. So what are your best recommendations to kind of offset that, to kind of stave off any health challenges?
Well, it's probably not going to do any good to say don't eat as much.
Right, especially when it's so tasty.
Right, especially with your cooking.
Oh, look at you.
The best.
He wants to eat dinner tonight.
Well, how about that? But one of the things amongst the other things that we do that reduces stress, the key is when you eat too much, especially the fatty foods, your body has to produce more oxygen. In other words, the food saps up, the fatty food saps up oxygen. So not only are you dehydrated because of drinking too much, but you're also caught in the trap of eating too much, and then the fatty food will absorb the oxygen that should be going to the heart. So the heart doesn't get enough oxygen. So the muscle of the heart doesn't get enough oxygen because the food is taking up the oxygen.
And why does it do that?
Well,
digestion, right?
Well, right, but the way to combat that and there's no guarantee, but always drink at least a full glass of water 30 minutes before you eat and 30 minutes after you eat. That helps with the digestion, and also doing deep breathing combined with the water. You know, thinking about every few minutes that you can think of, or any, I wouldn't say few minutes, but every few hours you can think of, do about 5 or 10 deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth.
Belly breathing, right? Right from the diaphragm?
Well, you don't have to.
No, you don't have to do that?
No, because that helps, but again, a lot of people just aren't going to do that.
That's true.
So when you inhale through the nose, there are 3 things that it does. It filters the food with little filters up in the nose, and it also releases a gas called nitric oxide, not to be confused with nitrous oxide. And nitric oxide actually dilates all the vessels, so you get more blood to the heart, and it's known as the anti-aging gas for seniors. And it's a short-lived gas, but it can help prevent a heart attack, especially with the water, with the deep breathing.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, we hear so many people when they have heart attacks, it's usually in the middle of the night. So they've had a fatty meal, maybe they did not have enough hydration, and hence they end up in the hospital with a heart attack, chest pains and all of that.
Yeah, because when you go to sleep, you dehydrate, you perspire. And the other thing too, you're not active, so the arteries tend to restrict a little bit. So if there's anything that's close to a plugged up artery, it's going to irritate you. Chances are about 3, 4 in the morning.
Ooh.
A lot of heart attacks go 3, 4 in the morning because you're not exercising, you're not walking, you're not talking, and they tend to restrict. And if you have blockage, that's when it will show up. Even if you're an athlete, there's a tendency for athletes, some athletes, to eat too much, you know, and not eat the right foods. And then you go out and do athletic performances that tax the body. So the key is to have a good balance.
You know, the holidays can be a very joyous time for so many of us, but it also is kind of like a depressive time for some people, and they go into a deep depression every single Christmas for whatever reason. Maybe it's a trigger of losing a loved one or something of that nature. Maybe something's going on in the family, and you and I know as well, we have friends, we have family that's going through stuff just like you. So we try to come on and share some of the things that has worked for us over many, many years, and when it comes to stress, I know we shamelessly promote this whole stress thing, but it's a real deal. It's a real thing, and as we've said so many times before, it is the #1 cause for dis-ease and in many cases premature death. Right?
Yeah, and it's
alone.
nothing to be taken lightly.
No, it isn't, and especially around the holiday time.
And that's extra devastating if it's in the holidays, because of the fact that there's so much that joy you want to bring into your family, and that's a time that it really is tough.
Exactly.
At any time it's tough when you lose a loved one.
Yeah.
And as we know, I've lost my mother in December, around Christmas. My grandmother passed away around Christmas. We lost a dog Christmas, and we know how that feels.
Right. But you know, I love it when you put on the Christmas music, because you get out of that by sharing the wonderful memories that you would tell me how you never ever missed a Christmas when you had all your dance franchises all around the country and you'd be traveling everywhere. You always made it home to Mama.
Never missed one Christmas.
No, no.
No matter how hard. I went through snowstorms, and when I lived up north and my family was in Florida, and I would always come home for Christmas.
Yeah.
And then there's a song that has that.
Yeah,
I don't know the words, but
I know.
you know what song I'm talking about.
And you play that. You play on your radio in the car all the time. I get in there, and there you've got your Christmas music, and that helps, right? It helps bring that joy back.
It does. Christmas should be looked at as a time of joy.
It is.
And there's so much commercialism in it. You know, people disappointed because they didn't get what they wanted.
I know.
During Christmas, it's a time to count your blessings.
Absolutely.
It's celebrating the Jesus that we love, and it also is a time to bring families together.
Yes, yes, exactly.
And we want to focus on that part. What are the good things that come out of Christmas? Not worry about the bad things, because the bad things are most times stupid things.
That's
Families
right.
getting in arguments over a football game or something. You know, people drink a little bit more during the holidays. Some people don't act too well when they drink too much. If I would call drunk one time in my life, and I'm a happy drunk.
Oh dear.
Not everybody's a happy drunk.
And
but
that's a good thing. That's
I would not ever even go that route again. This one time is all it took.
I'm glad I wasn't there, but I can see you as a happy drunk. But on that note, it's time to take a little break, so we'll be right back. I know. At a certain age, so this is supposed to happen. No, it's not supposed to happen.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
At a certain age, so this is supposed to happen. No, it's not supposed to happen. And we're back here on Primetime TV. I'm Barbara Marville-Kelly. With me is Dennis Kelly. We're sharing some tips on healthy living around the holidays because we need to do that. Because imagine if you were to hear at least one thing that we said in the show that might, we can't make any guarantees or anything, might stave off a heart attack. I think it's definitely worth it. So that's what we were talking about. In case you're just getting home, pouring your favorite beverage, we were talking about how to stave off a heart attack, especially during the holidays with the undue stress, unnecessary stress, but it happens to all of us, right? And if you're eating high fatty meals, so I just want to recap that.
That's a good recap.
It's a good recap because of what happens to the system after we've maybe had a little bit too much alcohol, maybe we've had too much beef and there's fat in it, and we're not hydrating ourselves.
Yeah, and when there's stress, even good stress sometimes can sort of take energy from you, so that when a negative thing happens, you're not able to handle it quite as well. I mean, it's a whole cycle. I could spend hours just talking about stress alone.
I know, and we do sometimes.
And some of the stuff that I talk about stress is boring, so people don't like to listen to that. They don't like to know why a red cell has to be oxygenated to get through the capillaries, what happens when the red cells clump, so to speak. And I mean, we could go on and talk about it, but to keep it simple is what I'm trying to do in my seminars and my lectures and things like that. And by the way, if you're new out there and you see me shaking a little bit or slur my words, I'm not drunk or I'm nervous. I'm recovering from Parkinson's disease, and just want to let you know that you notice I said recovering.
And you're doing quite well at it. And that's another reason why you like to share about stress, because, I mean, you know what? We've been there, done it all. And I'll tell you, so many people ask us how we do it. This is how we do it. We share what works for us. And it all comes right down to empowering ourselves through self-mastery and mastering all the components, all the tips that you share on our shows, or that I share on the shows, that you too can do. Because, like you said, keeping it simple. Okay, so if you want to know more about the capillaries and the this and the that, get a hold of my husband. He'll be happy to just do a little consultation with you and explain why. Because I know you're like that. Why does this happen? Why does that happen? And that's why you are in a position of expertise in anti-aging. That's why you've been able to work on overcoming Parkinson's. That's why you were able to take a 6 world championship in, 2016 at age 78. Yeah. Exactly. So all those whys out there is the proof in the pudding. And people do not put enough emphasis on stress. And I know you said there's good stress. Yes. Yeah, right. But the key is balance.
Well, yeah, and the thing that you can do to help prevent it is watch your internal conversation. Chad Helmstetter, a very well-known psychologist in the avenue of communication, wrote a book called What Do I Say When I Talk to Myself? And we talk 65,000, 70,000 words a day. We think, excuse me, not talk. We think 65, 70,000 words a day. And the key is to watch what that internal conversation is and the external conversation. In other words, when you're saying to yourself, what should I say? Always try to gather the positive way of looking at, like, for example, sometimes, like in my case, when I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, I said, why me, God? I thought, why not me? Now, what can I do to make this dark cloud a silver lining? And it was, well, I can help other people, because I know that what I've done that has helped me be able to function normally with a disease that captures your physical, mental, and emotional self is being able to survive that for a period of time. Well, we have to croak sooner or later, but the key thing is let's have the quality of life as long as we can have.
And that is the key, is the quality of life.
Yeah, and the quality of life has a lot to do with your internal conversation. Everything is a choice. And if you just watch what you say, but the challenge is most people don't.
Right, and they don't know what to say or what not to say. We've done so much research over the years, and we found that what works for us is how we say it, the voice inflection that we say, and perception is also another thing that's very clear. You can say one thing one way and the same thing in another way, and depending on the perception of the other person, it can be taken in two different ways.
Yeah.
And that can create a lot of stress. It truly can. So let's go back to talking about before we go to bed at night. And let's say we've had a high fatty meal, and oh my goodness, the desserts around the holidays. If you're like our house, there's a whole lot of desserts. And fat, right? And sugars and all of that. So you say drink a glass of water before and after your meal?
30 minutes before the meal and 30 minutes after the meal. And several deep breaths. Entertain the thought of breathing deeply 5 to 10 times, a couple times within the hour. Or so. And even if somebody catches you doing that, just helps me relax.
It does. It truly does. It helps you get to sleep as well, especially if you've had all that sugar in the evening as desserts, and then you know how we go back and get more and just nibble here and there.
Oh yeah, we know that.
You don't do that, do you?
No, I don't do that.
No, he goes out and takes a big old hunk. He doesn't nibble.
However, the fact that I just pig out like that on the holidays, and the fact that I exercise like I do, and the fact that I have a good attitude and I don't really have a problem with handling stress at all, that helps me compensate. 80% of the time you should eat right, and 20% of the time you goof off. So as I call it, goofing off.
And you have that outlined in your book, The 6 Steps
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And I live by that.
Yep. Yep. And it makes a difference too.
Yeah, and also before you go to sleep, when you go to bed, 30 minutes before you, well, actually, within a few minutes, and you don't have to use the 30-minute clause there. I was still thinking of the food. But what you should do is, when you go to bed, drink a glass of water, half a glass or a full glass of water, because during the evening we dehydrate. And then things restrict when you dehydrate. Coupled with stress, it's not one thing. It's a series of things.
Right.
The stress, the worry, the anxieties, sometimes override the good, because we want so much for the holidays to be precious, to be successful, to be fun. But when you watch people, sometimes they're opening the gifts and sometimes not what they want. Even little disappointments like that can escalate into things that are more devious.
Well, you know, like we were saying as we opened the show, talking about Christmas being the holiday celebration for the baby Jesus. And we're very strong. We have a strong faith-based foundation in our lives, which really carries us through the stress. And that truly is one of the biggest secrets in both of our lives, and have been for a while. Don't think for 1 minute that we don't have stresses. I mean, I have my tree ready to go up, but I had this little sort of just a detour with a little broken wrist. But do I let this stop me? Do I let this put me into a deep depression? Let me tell you, I'm over it with this cast on for 2 weeks, but I find a way to count my blessings, because it could have been worse. And so we'll get that tree up, and will there be a whole lot of shopping? Maybe, maybe not. We just do the best we can, because the whole idea is to, like you had said in the beginning of the show, is spending the time with your family. I'm looking so forward to my grandson coming and opening gifts, but he is entertainment in a box. And as soon as his feet hit the floor and comes right through the door, he's on stage. And it's how we interact with one another, how we have fun with one another. It's not about the store-bought gifts. You know, when my kids were getting into their teens and, you know, they were kind of getting away from all that as little children, we stopped being so commercial about that. In fact, I just made a promise to myself, no electronic games. Have you seen, just today, they were talking about the iPads, and not just today though, I've heard it in little drips on the news, various news stations too, on how it's affecting the children's brains. And I go, aha, I knew it, I knew it. Fortunately, my kids have restricted my grandson's, and he doesn't miss it. He's just going about like we used to be when we were kids, right? Like playing outside and playing with your friends and playing board games and real toys instead of all this kind of stuff. And I'll be the first one to admit, I love getting on FaceTime with JD, but Am I obsessed with it? No. Do I go through a withdrawal if I leave it somewhere? Not really, because I have it in the mindset on knowing what's supposed to be healthy for us.
Well, it's good to have certain directions you stick to as much as possible.
That's right.
In holidays, because that's a terrible time to get sick.
Yep.
It's a terrible time to have family conflicts. And because if you really think about it, Christmas is not only for the adults, but more so for the kids. Because we can have the enjoyment of watching the kids open the presents and things like that. So the adults need to be adults.
I don't know.
But
they're doing adulting classes now. We got 30 seconds remaining. Finish your thought.
Well, the kids look forward to the adults communicating. In other words, having fun, laughing.
Yes, they do. Thank you for mentioning that. And they observe that. We're setting an example on how to have fun around the holidays. We don't have a real big kitchen. We have an island in the kitchen, but everybody congregates in the kitchen. And everybody has their fingers in whatever recipe's going on. We're all just, and then JD's running around, the dogs are running around, and I love every minute of it. Time to take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. At a certain age, so this is supposed to happen. No, it's not supposed to happen.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
At a certain age, so this is supposed to happen. No, It's not supposed to happen. Welcome back in, everyone. We were just talking about New Year's resolutions, okay? So we're going to put that question out to you guys. Do you believe in New Year's resolutions? Are you able to fulfill your New Year's resolutions? Do we make New Year's resolutions?
We set goals, and basically by the time we get to New Year's, it's been pretty well mapped out.
Yeah.
Where we're going, where we've been, and so on. So setting goals is it can be good, it can be fantastic, or it can be bad. Mm-hmm. It's when you set a goal, it's like making a promise to yourself.
Right, that's right, and that takes commitment.
Absolutely.
And can be stressful.
When you set goals and give up on the goals, it tends to cause a lack of confidence in yourself. And that isn't good, because our performance in life has a lot to do with our self-image. Dr. Maxwell Maltz wrote a great book, Psycho-Cybernetics, and he was a plastic surgeon that turned into a PhD and become an author of how to build a good self-image. The thing that he found out through being a plastic surgeon, sometimes they would change somebody's appearance and it would be beautiful, but the person still had that same paradigm of what he was, and the surgery didn't do anything even though the surgery looked great.
Isn't that the truth?
So
wow.
He dug into that. Mm-hmm. Why would this person, they have a bad self-image that doesn't help even improving the physical self-image? So he went about researching on that, and so it's important to have a good self-image, and setting goals is important because you can set little goals to build up your confidence. The problem is people for the first of the year, when they make their New Year's resolution, they set goals that are too high or are almost impossible.
Right.
They don't believe in the goal.
They're not realistic, and they go gung-ho. Right. And don't you find that that is probably the first line where you end up failing, is when you set too high of a goal and you don't pace yourself. And it just becomes bombarding, and then people just give up, right?
Right. Well, if you really want to gauge your performance, if you want to raise your performance, you raise your self-image.
Sure.
If your self-image isn't raised, you're at that level of where you feel you are in life, and you don't have what I call the spark to go further.
That's right.
You become complacent. Complacent is nice. It's a safe place, a safe haven, but the problem is it doesn't give you any Jill dynamite.
Gusto. The gusto that we need,
right,
the passion,
right.
the fire.
Yeah, when you are building a passion, that goes above complacency.
Mm-hmm. It does. And that's one of our secrets, is passion. Do what you love what you do. In fact, this is really a great way as we wind down 2018. It's a great way to ramp up into 2019, because this is our second to the last show on Monday. We're going to take a couple of holidays off. But the thing is that if you're not fulfilling your passion, if you don't know what your passion is, may I kindly, endearingly, lovingly suggest that you find the passion. Now, I'm going to ask you one question that could be a game changer for you. If you had all the gadgets in the world, you've got all your bills paid off, no mortgage, no car payment, you've got lots of gold in the bank, right? No financial concerns whatsoever. Got that thought? Would you be doing exactly what you're doing now? That is a very
It's a good question.
A very powerful question. And if you were to ask me that, I would say yes. If I was to ask you that,
I'd say yes.
You'd say yes.
I wouldn't even hesitate.
If I asked John Gaston with Tampa Bay Multimedia, WeBeam TV, would you be doing this? I know what the answer would be. And I tell you, it makes a big difference. When you walk into our studio here, you see John's passion around the whole entire studio. Come to our home, you're going to see our passion in our home. As soon as you walk through it, you are instantly relaxed. I have a water fountain that greets you. You walk under an arch full of love and crystals that we were married under, and my son was married under. And so when you live a passionate life, it's such a game changer for you. And I know we've all gone through the different stages of, you know, working for a bank or working at a restaurant or whatever it is, but there always seems to be something missing. And since my husband came into my life, that is when we truly developed our passion together. And every year it gets better and better. In fact, we go back the year and see what we've accomplished with our goals.
Nothing really great happens in somebody's life unless they have a passion. A passion that is positive, a passion that is not destructive to yourself or anyone else.
Right.
And those kind of passion, like somebody might have a passion for drugs. That's not really a passion.
No.
That's an addiction.
We're not
There's a
talking
big
about
difference
that.
between an addiction and a passion. Sometimes people get that mixed up.
I never thought of it that way. That's creepy.
Yeah, well, it's true.
Yeah, I guess
addiction
that
becomes
that's true, yeah.
what we live for, what we develop as far as our belief system, our passion, has to be positive. It has to have a positive feedback channel. And like I said, nothing ever gets done great unless there's a passion. When you raise that self-image, your performance raises. If you lower your self-image, your performance suffers.
That's right, and that has all to do with our frequency levels, right?
Yeah, well, that's the other big thing. Most people don't look at our life like a frequency. We have a frequency vibration. The brain has a frequency vibration, 60 times more electronic than the heart, I meant to say, has 60 times more electronic times as the brain does. And that's the bioelectrical energy. The heart actually has that over the brain, and it has a 5,000 plus frequency level higher than the brain. A lot of people don't know, and if you really want to find out more information about that, look up Heart Math Institute.
Lots of good information there. And
wonderful.
you are certified through Heart Math Institute, and for many of you that have been with us for, 4 years now since we've been doing this show, we really are always up on our soapbox. We feel so strongly about promoting the Heart Math program because it works, and it's backed by, validated by science and medical documentation, so you really can't argue with it. Once you understand that we are frequency, it changes everything, because then you do watch your speech. You learn to walk your talk a little bit more straighter, right?
Absolutely. Our conversation that goes on inside determines upon what kind of person we are on the outside. You can't get around it.
No.
And the key is, when you're setting goals, is to get emotional about the goal. How do you build passion? Well, you build passion as already seeing a goal made. In other words, how would I react, say you want that new Corvette? How would I react before I have the Corvette? I would picture myself driving the Corvette. I picture the color. For example, why that's so effective. If I ask you right now, how many blue cars did you see on the way here to the video
I
shop?
couldn't tell you.
You couldn't tell me.
No.
If I said, I'll give you $100 on the way home to tell me how many blue cars.
Oh wait, there was
you
125.
Right.
Light, dark, and medium color.
Right.
How's that?
So the key is, until you set that goal, you're not looking at the blue cars.
No, that's very good, actually.
So the first step is to see the goal is already accomplished.
Yes, yes.
And feel what it feels like. The Corvette, when you're driving your old car, just picture that being a Corvette, and tell yourself, feeling yourself in a passion, really being excited. And you don't have to dwell on it all day long. The experts say all you need is 5 to 10 minutes a day. Just visualizing your goal is already being made and accomplished. If you go too long playing with that game, it sort of wears off just like the newness of a new car wears off. The same thing, newness of a goal wears off if you over accentuate the time that you're doing.
And dwell on it too much.
Dwelling on it too much.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You get capsulated with the thrill, the wonderful passion that you have for having this goal, this job opportunity, meeting a certain person or whatever, getting a relationship going that seemed to be very positive. The problem there, we have a lot of low dependency.
Codependency.
Yes. I say my tongue got caught up in my tooth. We have a lot of codependency.
Mm-hmm.
People get married or form a relationship because they feel it'll make them happier.
They feel the person is going to make them happy.
That's right.
That doesn't work that way.
The biggest lie in the world is when I get this, I'll be happy. Whether it be a person, whether it be this, when I get this, I'll be happy.
Exactly. We only have 30 seconds here.
Happiness
I know
comes from inside, our internal conversation, our thoughts, our feelings.
Exactly.
And our mind.
And when we have those feelings, it can be another game changer for us if we just understand, right, what happens in our body.
Using 100-year-old ancient secrets of aging, you can use and build an empire with a single thought.
Thoughts are powerful. We'll be right back after this. At a certain age, so this is supposed to happen. No, it's not supposed to happen.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
at a certain age, so this is supposed to happen. No, it's not supposed to happen.
What?
This. I do that.
I
catch myself doing that. Hi, everybody.
Got caught there, didn't you?
Well, it looks like we winded down, or we wound down. I don't know which one is right. I'm getting slap happy. It's not even the holidays yet. So we've been talking about some of the different ways of reducing stress, how to help avoid a heart attack by drinking a glass of water, or at least a half a glass of water before you eat your meal and afterwards. Watch your oxygen level, doing some deep breathing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Right? And these are free things.
These are things that, they don't cost a darn thing.
No, and it's a prevention, not a cure.
True.
You're preventing a heart attack, possibly.
That's true.
And there's no guarantee.
That's true.
Nothing's 100%.
And I've got to throw a few things in there, seeing that I have been extremely accident prone in the last several months, is make sure you pick up anything that has to do with cords, loose throw rugs, shoes anywhere in the family room or foyer or in the kitchen. If you use puppy pads, whether you have a grown adult dog or a puppy in the house, make sure they are out of the way and do not step on them. And what else? Oh, and if you're out at Leo's doing the peppermint twist, do not do that on one leg. I promise you, you can end up with some repercussions. I'll just share a few little things, a few little tidbits on my own. But as we wind down, in case you haven't noticed my sparkly love shirt, I wanted to wear this as our last show, because as we wind out of 2018, we're doing it with love. And we're going to ring in the new year with love, just as we do as we start our day. Why is that? Why is love such a powerful, emotional chemical in our system? Why does that change everything? You're the love master. You are the master.
I don't know about that.
At this.
Well, love is the highest vibration in the universe.
And we were talking about frequency just before we took our break.
The highest frequency. Every thought, every feeling is a frequency.
Yes.
We have the right to choose what frequency we want, but hardly anybody does it. They don't look at things in that area. We're talking about success as far as our health, fitness, mental attitude, and so on, as being a thing of thought. But it's more, it goes further than that. There's three things that really thought has a life. In other words, when you're thinking...
I like that. I haven't heard that
Thought
one.
has a life to it. For example, if you're thinking about a goal, and the big wow factor here is when you start thinking of a goal, everything is a vibration. Every thought is a vibration. Every thought is a thing, not just a thought, it's a thing. Thoughts are things. Those are the three words. Thoughts are things. So be careful what you think about.
No,
you
that's
bring
true.
about.
That's true.
So when you're thinking, the big wow factor is when you're thinking and you're passionate about that goal, passion has to be there, then that passion, that goal that you want starts vibrating at the same frequency of your brain. And eventually that becomes reality. I know that sounds real weird and strange, and you have to go sort of into quantum physics to really understand it, but the key thing is when we think, we set out vibrations. Dennis Waitley said something in his book he's written many books, so I'd have to go off and go back to my memory bank. But anyway, he says when we set a goal and get passionate about that goal, 18 to 20 billion brain cells start vibrating at abnormal rates. And they have one thing in common, is to reach out and bring things to that goal, to that desire, to that passion.
The law of attraction.
The law of attraction are 4 laws. The law of attraction, we all have that. We use it every day. What we think about, we bring about. Then when you get beyond the law of attraction and you get into the law of where you are creating, the second law is the law of deliberate creation.
Yes.
Then you are aware of when I think about, I bring about, so I want to bring about this, I want to bring about that. Build the passion.
And it takes practice, but once you have developed that passion that we were talking about earlier on, nothing will stop you. Nothing.
Oh, absolutely. It's stronger than anything you can imagine. So anyway, by being able to do that, you can become like the director of your life. Is like a movie.
It is true.
And you are either participant, a part of the movie, or you're the director. Mm-hmm. The key is, are you directing your movie or somebody else directing your movie? Most people, their movie is being directed by many people. Mm-hmm. So you can choose to have how you want your movie to end or begin or be part of that life that you want.
And what you've done is you've actually directed and participated.
Yes.
Now we just need to get it produced.
You can be a participant and a director.
Yeah.
So, and what you do, and I do, they call it segment intending, mm-hmm. is when you wake up in the morning or when you go to bed at night, form a countdown of how your day went when you go to bed at night. In other words, anything that you did that was negative during the day that you would dwell on, replace that with a positive. Mm-hmm. If you said something the wrong way to somebody else and you were sorry about you did it, if you don't segment intend and replace it with a good thought, you're going to do the same mistake again.
Same thing again, right.
So one of the really strong things in reducing stress is before you go to bed, I always think pleasant thoughts.
That's true.
Don't try to work out problems when you go to bed at night. Just see the problem solved. Mm-hmm. Because most people spend 90% of their time on the problem and 10% on fixing the problem, rather than 90% on fixing the problem and 10%.
Yes.
It doesn't work that way.
No, we try to work on the solutions because that just makes more sense. And not to worry. Worry is such a negative emotion. I mean, to be concerned, that's one thing. But to sit and worry and worry and worry, I mean, it can make you sick. It will make you sick. That I can guarantee. There goes that finger again.
Oh, absolutely, it'll make you sick.
Yeah.
It can destroy so many things. It could be wonderful if you just change your thoughts, change your direction of your thinking.
Yes.
There are two rules that I have that I live by religiously. Rule number 1, don't sweat the small stuff. Rule number 2, everything is small stuff. We're here today, gone tomorrow. Life is too short to be little.
I know.
It's so stupid as human beings. The problem, if you go back to the Paleolithic ancestor days, their stress amount was very limited. They were either eaten by the tiger or they killed the tiger. There was not too many concept changes that were needed. But the problem is we matured mentally more so than emotionally. We have gone through the time span, and what we've created mentally is unbelievable. But we have not evolved emotionally, has not caught up with the mental. So here we got these geniuses with no really, how would I say, with no control over their emotions. Anna Weiss wrote a great book, The High Performance Mind. She stated in her book, the high performance mind is a mind that can stimulate the consciousness so that you can have any emotion for any situation you want. Mm-hmm. High performance mind is one that will can reach that state of consciousness that is beneficial and pleasurable for any given circumstance.
Mm-hmm. And there actually is. And next year we're going to keep expanding on that so that we can help add more to that so that you can, if you're interested, incorporate that in your life experience on a daily basis, which is what we have done. And I mean, it's like clockwork. Okay, well, how am I going to choose to perceive this situation? Do I want to choose to get wrapped up in the drama of a friend or an acquaintance or a relative, or I choose to redirect the conversation into possibly a solution or support for that person in a way that we've done in order to have that self-mastery, sort of pass that on to somebody else, because anybody can do it, right?
Right.
If you make the choice to do that. And I mean, you were mentioning about concept changes. There's so many concept changes in a day. You're right. We cannot emotionally go through that without having some sort of effect on us. So when I call it's emotional, it really comes right down to your emotional intelligence. And we only have 30 seconds, and I'm going to leave you with this last thought, which is your emotional compass. It will get you on the map. For us, the map is the Master Action Plan, and under that is what's on my shirt. come from love. No matter what you do, no matter where you go, think love before you say something that has an angry thought behind it, and I can guarantee you your life will never be the same after that. Time for us to sign off.
Absolutely.
That's right. So thanks for joining us. I love you.
Love you too.
And we love
All of you.
Bye.